Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So join you today down in Barnsley and Shafton in part 3 of the Hull and Barnsley Railway series. Now in part 1 we'll cover the section of the branch between Cuddiff on towards Bridierley Lane, which is just slightly up further that way. In part 2 we'll cover the section of the Stairfoot branch from Cuddiff South Junction down towards Stairfoot. Now in part 3 we're going to continue from where we left off in part 1. So Bridierley Lane being back there. Now I'm currently stood on the track bed of another disused railway line that I covered a series in on the Dearne Valley Junction line. So a bit of a crossover in this section. So down behind me here you've got the track bed of the Hull and Barnsley that came down from Bridierley Lane, which connected, well it didn't connect, but it actually went underneath the Dearne Valley Junction line, which I did in a bit of a crossover video. Now looking over that way is where we finished part 1 at Bridierley Lane. Now this section here is on private land I believe. So here is the track bed of the Hull and Barnsley. You can see where these horses are. We're on the track bed of the Dearne Valley Junction line, which I did show you a faded picture where we was actually under, this would have been a bridge here of the Dearne Valley Junction line heading across up there towards Crofton. So I'll leave a link to that series in the description below. So here we'd be looking at a view, maybe just a bit further back, of a signal box which went underneath the bridge that crossed over here on towards the Dearne Valley Junction line. Now these two railways had no connection, so that one was part of the Yorkshire and Lancashire Railway. So here we've got a view of Hemp Dyke, which I did show you in the Dearne Valley Junction line series. So the Dearne Valley Junction line would have gone over down that way towards Shafton Junction. So this is now our track bed, continuing on the Hull and Barnsley towards Brierley Junction. Now if you do remember, I did mention in the Dearne Valley Junction series that this looked like a triangular junction, and the reason why it wasn't a triangular junction is due to the fact that the bridge actually went over the top of the Hull and Barnsley. Bit of railway memorabilia there for you. So we found an old wooden railway sleeper on the track bed. So I could continue through these trees here. There is a footpath that leads around these trees where the Hull and Barnsley would have led towards Brierley Junction. So it looks like the track bed does open out into a bit of a cutting, well on one side anyway, as we head towards Brierley Junction, where the railway connected to the Dearne Valley main railway. So looking back at the track bed, we'll continue on towards Brierley Junction. So this connected with the Dearne Valley Railway that ran down towards Edlington, Brierley Junction, opening around 1902. Looks like we've got this replacement footbridge that went over, well you can see these abutments of what was an original bridge I believe. So I believe it was to take this this little dam or whatever it is, I think it's a dike, going underneath the bridge that was the original. I think it would have been at a slightly higher level due to these abutments that you can see, but I believe that this bridge is more of just a connecting footbridge. There you can see all the old brickwork that carries this stream just underneath, and another part of the original structure. See the red brick, looks like it would have had stone copings on the top which have gone missing. But then you've got this this bit here where it's like a blue or a stone there just on the top, and then just same detail down in the corner. You can see the abutments, so the bridge would have been at a higher level, slightly coming across towards the track bed. You can see how the ground then raises as we head on towards Brierley Junction. It is marking on the maps that there was a milestone post around here, but I've seen no signs of one. But I have come across this brick structure here, and there's a little bit more brick just in the far corner down there. Now I'm not sure what it was. It's a bit of a coal hut or something. Let's see what it says on it. And it says Maltby metallic. I'm not sure where those bricks were made, but that's what it says on the bricks. So I wonder if this was some sort of coal hut, part of some drainage, I'm not too sure. Here you can see we're in fairly substantial cutting, probably about 40 feet, but you can see all the blast in the rocks just up that side there. So this is looking back on our track bed. We do have a footpath that diverts slightly off the track bed, so I believe more of it is actually waterlogged as we approach the Frickley Lane bridge. Some boundary posts just on the left here marking the boundary of the old railway, but I do believe actually it might be to fence off that's private property. So this is back on the track bed. That's looking back towards Stairfoot and Cudworth. And this is the track bed on towards Brierley Junction and Brierley Tunnel. Now where I saw those abutments to those that old bridge, I believe it was still part of the Hemp Dyke, which is what you can see here, because it actually did circulate around the line, and it would have gone underneath the bridge, what we saw further back there, going up towards where we saw where the Dearne Valley Junction Railway met. So it does get a lot damper. Fortunately, we have got a dry section of footpath that continues along the track bed of the Hull and Barnsley line. Again, it gets a little bit tricky along this section, but we do still have the footpath that we can walk around. Now the track bed of the Hull and Barnsley does look like more of a stream than the actual walkway. Now what I believe this water is down at Frickley Lane. The bridge has been filled in, which is blocking all the drainage. Now we did do a video on Brierley Tunnel a while ago. We spoke about the bridge that was filled in, causing a lot of flooding on the approach cutting towards Brierley Tunnel. So I believe that this water is actually coming from the inside, because it's blocking any drainage that's coming from the spot of Frickley, or the old Frickley Lane bridge. You can see the cutting there. On both sides, this is looking back, that's looking back towards Stairfoot and Cudworth. We continue on. Now, one thing you're not going to believe is, this picture that I'm putting up now is the site of the Brierley Junction. So you've got the Hull and Barnsley coming in this direction here. You can just see that pathway which goes down that way. Now that heads down towards Shafton Junction, then towards Shafton Tunnel, which is filled in, which we're going to save for another video. But that connected up with the Black Car Junction that went through Grindthorpe and Conisborough. Back there we're looking towards Brierley Junction. The track bed does open out a little bit. Still walking on a footpath that goes on towards Frickley Lane Bridge, or where the location of the Frickley Lane Bridge was. Around here you would have had where they used to store piping. As you can see this picture, this is coming towards Frickley Lane Bridge. You can see the train heading towards Cudworth Yard. And the picture was taken on 31st of May 1962. But just around here where you can see where these the pipes were stored. So as we walk a little further along the track bed, here is where the Frickley Lane Bridge would have been located. Now I believe we've got remnants of the bridge on the ground just down here. There's a bit of brickwork on the floor. And just here is where all the infill has covered up the bridge. So this is Frickley Lane Bridge. And that's looking back towards Brierley Junction. So there is this footpath that goes above the site of the bridge. I'm going to see if I can find anything else left of the bridge. You can probably just see some more brickwork in the spoil here. So maybe part of it was demolished and some of it was filled in. But looking down there is what we're looking at, the Frickley Lane Bridge. It's all overgrown. So we are now on Frickley Lane, so that's looking back towards Stairfoot and Cudworth. Now just behind me on this side is the approach cutting that headed on towards Brierley Tunnel. Now myself and Johnny at the start of the year, we actually have experienced this tunnel. We've actually been in and we've seen that the approach cutting to it is absolutely flooded, and that's because there's actually no drainage within the cutting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can see anything as we walk along the side of the track bed. Now just behind there, I don't know if you can just make out, but that's where the Frickley Lane bridge would have ended. You can actually see some of the waterlogged track bed that goes down towards Brierley Tunnel. Looks more like a river and a canal more than an actual railway cutting. Now if I'm just able to show you that, like I say, you would think that that is a canal or river. However, that is the Hull and Barnsley. And like I said, there'll be no drainage due to the infill of the Frickley Lane bridge, which is just literally behind those bushes, and on towards the western end of Brierley Tunnel. Now, as you can see, on the approach cutting towards the Brierley Tunnel, you've got lots of tree falls, and the cutting does actually get deeper on towards the eastern end, or sorry, the western end. It's the western end, not the eastern end. This footpath does actually walk alongside it. Now I do remember as I was walking towards the Brierley Tunnel when I actually explored it, how deep the portal was. So I'm going to continue along, see how far I can get. Now, not sure if you can just make out, but just down there you can probably just see the top of the western portal of the Brierley Tunnel. So I'll zoom it in. Now it is blocked up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the video here, and myself and Johnny at the start of the year, we did do a video where we had to venture down over the back and then down the side of the portal, and believe me, it was a pretty tough get down, but we managed to get in. And I'm not going to ruin the video, but we found it quite interesting inside. So what we'll do is we'll leave this at part 3 and we're going to call that part 4. So we're going to show you what it actually looked like in the tunnel and the condition of it. So we'll call it a day today. So this is part 3 of the Hull and Barnsley. So Brierley Tunnel, in which I did start of the year, will be part 4. So I will use that as part of the series. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And then we'll continue part 5 on from Hemsworth on towards the Hemsworth station from the filled-in end of the Brierley Tunnel. So I really do hope you all enjoyed that episode on the Hull and Barnsley Railway from Shafton towards Brierley. Please do go back and watch part 1 of the Cuddiff branch if you haven't already seen that, and part 2 of the Stairfoot branch if you haven't seen that one as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I do get a little bit first on these explores, so please, if you can, buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.